We're just waiting on the first presenter, so we're just going to wait a few minutes and then we'll get things started. Okay. After it's over. Okay. Okay. All right. We're going to start the next portion of this meeting. So we have completed items A through F, and we are now to item G, discussion. And the first item on the agenda is community budget survey results or survey findings. And Ryan from Magellan will be presenting. He's parking right now. But Denise, I think you're going to introduce this item and maybe invite all of us to the upcoming community budget discussions.
Sure, thank you. Yes, after they do the presentation tonight, then Thursday night from 5:15 to 8 here in this building or in this room, we will be doing a community engagement meeting that we will be asking everybody to attend. We'll be going, this is your opportunity to work in small groups and to give perspectives on the budget and different aspects. So that will be Thursday, and those that can't make it on Thursday, we have Friday from 9 to 12 here in this room also. And then after that, it will be presented back to City Council next Tuesday on the findings from the community engagement meeting. And Ryan, thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much for being here again.
I'm sorry, I said Friday, Saturday. Thank you. So it's Thursday, 5:15 to 8, and then Saturday, 9 to 12. So those are the two dates for the community engagement meeting here in this room. And we'd love to have all of you attend and anybody that's out in the audience. So thank you. I think we have your PowerPoint ready, and if it's okay, we'll just turn it over to Ryan.
Just wondering where to point this. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yes, thanks for your time. And again, I apologize for being a few minutes late here. So yeah, as we discussed the last time I was here kind of developing the survey script, we kind of narrowed it down and kind of had a laser focused budget survey. So let's get into just kind of the basic facts of the survey. We completed 583 interviews of residents and business owners, and we'll show the demographics here in a couple of slides so that you can see the breakout between how many residents versus business owners we had. Collected using MMS text messaging as well as a postcard distributed by the city. So we completed 583 responses, which was a very solid response rate. Basically over a period from April 23rd to May 18th was our survey window. So that number of responses gives us a margin of error of 3.78%, and these are weighted to reflect adult population within the city. So let's see. Okay, yeah, we'll show basically first this slide describing the survey objectives before we get into the demographics. So again, as we talked about last time, we wanted to develop kind of a narrative explaining to the respondents who may not have heard anything about these particular issues yet, why we're coming at them with this survey now, the kinds of things we're looking to accomplish with the survey. And so you see on this slide, here is kind of the narrative that they read through. We don't really need to, necessarily take the time to read it right here tonight, but just for the benefit of you all and those who are maybe going to be reviewing the survey, just as a refresher, here's the information that was provided to respondents. And then we'll start just by looking at the demographics. Again, where possible, these are weighted to reflect the adult population demographics of the city. So roughly 50-50 male, female. You look at the own versus rent demographics. You see there, as far as business owners, we did interview 16% of the respondents are business owners, 12% who own their business, 4% who rent their business. You see there the age range demographics. And kind of intentionally, we didn't ask a lot of demographic questions in this survey, but we also did want to ask just based upon this map, where they live within the city. And so you see here across these 6 areas, the split across those 6 areas as far as the respondents are concerned. And this map, just in case you're curious, this was a map that was actually developed for the survey that we did back in 2023. So I know these don't necessarily obviously align with the council districts. I know we had some questions like, where did this map even come from? All I know is we used it back in 2023, and it probably is helpful to look at, 6 different areas compared to just the 3 council districts. So maybe helpful to drill down a little bit more. really the key takeaways, just kind of from a 30,000 foot level, is that residents really strongly prioritize protecting public safety and core services. So when asked where the city could reduce spending, residents overwhelmingly opposed cuts to things like fire, EMS, public service functions such as roads and snow removal, and parks. So there's really strong support for many folks for maintaining those kind of essential services and public safety, even among these budget challenges that we inform them of. That being said, the areas that were viewed as most acceptable places for some budget reductions were things like the city council, executive administration, police, which you'll see in a couple slides here, was really pretty split more than a lot of the others, the pool and fitness center, neighborhood services, and planning. So generally, how I would phrase it is residents appear more willing to reduce administrative and governance related functions than on the kind of frontline services that they perceive to most impact them. Residents also, when we ask them a question about the kind of taxes that they may prefer, obviously that being another solution, and as well as budget reductions, they prefer visitor-based taxes over resident-based taxes. Not really surprised, a dynamic we see a lot when we're doing these kinds of surveys. So there's strong support for increasing taxes that are paid primarily by visitors. In this case, things like a lodging tax or an amusement tax increase. In contrast, residents are pretty opposed to a sales tax increase, 54% opposed, and strongly opposed to a property tax increase, 75% oppose that. And as well, when we ask the open-ended responses, it really reinforces kind of idea to shift, or at least attempt to shift, more burden onto tourists rather than local residents. In terms of asking about their priorities, fire mitigation, infrastructure, and fiscal discipline were the dominant things that kind of came through. Not surprising on the fiscal discipline standpoint, considering the narrative that we shared with them. It makes sense that that is kind of top of mind. But the most frequently cited priorities over the next 3 years, again, wildfire infrastructure and better fiscal management. So many residents expressed concern that specifically the city became too dependent on marijuana tax revenues. And so they want just a renewed focus on spending discipline, transparency, and kind of long-term planning before pursuing new taxes. So bottom line, there is a willingness among some residents to make some of these difficult budget choices, but they want city leaders to protect certain things like public safety and infrastructure, reduce where possible these administrative areas, and rely as much as possible on those taxes that impact visitors more than residents. So those are kind of the key takeaways. As we get into specific questions, again, intentionally, this is a very short survey, so we don't have too many more slides left actually. But just as a refresher, this is the chart that was shared with respondents in terms of the budget expenditures by department. Really, you know, seen a lot of cities where they'll kind of report this, but they'll have smaller, like a few smaller number of categories. So 4 or 5 different categories, which, you know, isn't quite as transparent because you're not really letting people see under the hood of, oh, what makes up that, what makes up that. So I think where we landed on this chart is really helpful to help folks see, yes, these are like a large number of categories so that we're not trying to, you know, hide something by kind of melding it all together so you can't really tell what's what. The other thing that benefited that is you see on the left side there, we included little descriptions. So we didn't just say city council or executive or police. We have these little descriptions in case there is any you know, desire for more clarification about what makes up these departments, what that spending goes towards. So we showed them that chart that was on the previous slide and said, with this information in mind, city would like to gather resident opinion on items where the general fund budget could be reduced with a target reduction of approximately $2 million. Now, we're not getting into the brain damage of saying, how much would you cut from this? How much would you cut from that? You know, it's not really that kind of exercise, but it is just generally asking them whether they would support or oppose reductions in these areas. You see generally the blue colors are where they would oppose reductions. The red colors are where they would support reductions. So again, the 2 where there's highest support for reductions are city council and executive. Those are the kinds of things. And again, it's a pretty common dynamic because the average person isn't really sitting around thinking about how those impact them. Whereas when they're visiting a park or they're driving on the roads, those things are really just kind of top of mind in terms of what the impact is to them personally. Police, I thought was interesting as really in this case, the third most supported reduction, I guess is one way you could put it, but at the same time, also a higher number of folks saying that they oppose reduction. So a pretty split viewpoint on police in that sense, and really kind of the same dynamic with the pool as well, to where you have somewhere close to a quarter of respondents saying each of these things: strongly opposed, strongly support, somewhat support. Moving on down the list, we have things like neighborhood services, planning, judicial, finance. So again, especially things like judicial, it has a little bit higher. The green bar is basically those that say no opinion. Again, these things are, they're less maybe willing to oppose reducing than the first slide, but it's a little bit more muddied in terms of whether there's certainly not as many. If you look at the dark red, there's certainly not as many who strongly support reducing any of these four things. And then as we get to the next slide, we really start to see folks or areas where that blue is either equal to or larger than the space that's red. And so in this case, economic development, 50% oppose, 43% support reduction. Transfer to capital improvements fund, 50% oppose reduction, only 36 support reduction. And parks, especially a significant number, 45% strongly oppose reduction to parks. And that's really where we get into the things where there is not a lot of appetite for reducing these three areas. When you talk about public service and what that means, importantly described as taking care of streets, snow removal, signs, everyday city maintenance, and managing capital projects, not a ton of appetite for reducing that. Emergency medical services and fire, clearly not a lot of appetite for reducing those things either. So that's kind of how it breaks down among those different budget categories. Would you prefer me to stop here and take questions here, or should I just finish the presentation and then we can take questions? What works best? Okay. So the next thing, we had another chart to show them in terms of tax revenues. So you see there general sales tax at the top, amusement tax, real property taxes, et cetera, on down the list. Again, just trying to, the average person probably isn't aware of these kinds of things. So just trying to set the table for this next question, where we ask, as you know, one potential solution to the sustained decline in sales tax revenue would be to consider asking voters to approve some kind of tax increase. Knowing this, generally speaking, would you support or oppose the following tax increases to help maintain basic services in Manitou Springs? Much higher support, as we mentioned, for a lodging tax and an amusement tax. Both of those are well north of 50% support. Sales tax increase is at 42% support. Property tax increase is at 21% support, and 59% strongly oppose. Again, that's very much of a piece with all of the surveys that we're seeing. We've done a lot of work in the last 4 or 5 months where cities are kind of weighing a sales tax versus a property tax. I've yet to see one where a property tax is favored over a sales tax. So not too surprised by that. Then we did ask this question, just as an open-ended: please describe the top issues or priorities that you think the city of Manitou Springs should address in the next 3 years. And the single most consistent thing that was mentioned was wildfire and fire mitigation. That's clearly very, very top of mind for respondents. Also infrastructure maintenance and what they consider to be kind of core city services. So here they are mentioning things that haven't come up previously in the survey, like water and sewer infrastructure. That wasn't part of the conversation because that's not part of the general fund budget, but they do mention things like that here. And again, they emphasize avoiding deferred maintenance, taking care of some of these things that they really want the city to focus on. And many folks kind of contrast them with beautification or expansion projects. Those things that are kind of more, wants versus needs, I guess, is one way to look at it. Also, many reflected frustration about fiscal management and concern over rising taxes and city spending. I will say this probably wouldn't have popped quite so much if we hadn't given them that narrative. I mean, I think the narrative itself just kind of places this front of mind and said, oh, they've just told me that there's this issue, so we should fix it. I think that is what's leading to at least some of these responses. And then obviously parking has not really been part of the surveys quite so much so far, but parking and tourism, economic development, which is something that is always going to kind of be front of mind for a certain segment of the residents in the city, that pops here as well. Then we asked one final verbatim on final thoughts. Are there any final thoughts you'd like to share with the city about the budget, potential reductions, or potential tax increases? Obviously, this is not required, but the folks that did answer it, the most common thing was strong opposition to additional property taxes, right? So they're just doubling down and reiterating, whatever you do, don't raise property taxes. Also a belief, again, and in a very specific belief that the city became too dependent on marijuana tax revenue. So that's kind of a recurring thing that comes up. So there's kind of calls to say, well, what were we doing before that? How can we better plan for something so that to make sure that we can kind of rebound and get on better footing after that? Shifting more financial burden towards tourists, visitors, and businesses. Some take this opportunity to bring up these kinds of things again and just throwing out ideas. How could we do this? Lodging taxes, amusement taxes, short-term rental, Airbnb taxes. I mean, you all would know far better than I would whether these things are feasible or would raise any significant amount of revenue. But it's interesting that this is the kind of brainstorming that people are doing. Incline hiking fees, other tourism related fees. So they're basically talking about the impact that the tourists do have on the infrastructure and wanting to make sure that residents aren't exclusively taking the burden for those kinds of things. And then just a general call for spending cuts, better efficiency, refocusing on what they consider to be those core services like fire mitigation, roads, EMS, infrastructure, et cetera. So with that, I'll just take any questions and I can jump back to any slides that you need me to.
Right. When we get our next presentation based on the community engagement, will they sort of be combined or will they exist separately from one another? And that's, I guess, more of a question for Denise.
They will be separate, although Barrick has had a copy of this and has spoken with Ryan several times. So he may bring in certain themes that happened with this that he also heard during the community engagement. But he's not gonna, it won't be a combined with Ryan here and Barrick here. It will just be Barrick.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
certainly I think the idea too is to not, part of that community engagement is not to say, hey, check out these survey results. Like you almost kind of want to have them on parallel tracks and then see the similarities and in some ways maybe differences between these two different ways of gathering feedback. So.
Excellent. All right. Any questions? Go ahead, Julie.
Am I correct in guessing that there's no way to determine overlap? So if 200 of these people who filled out the survey also go to community engagement, then their positions or their opinions will be counted twice, and it'll make it look like there's twice as many people, but it's the same person just doing the survey and doing the public engagement. Is that a
The
correct
only way would be,
assumption?
yeah, the only way would be at the community engagement because the timing doesn't overlap. So at the community engagement, you would have to ask them, did you complete the survey?
Are you
That-
going to ask them?
I'm not sure if that's part of the plan or not. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, Barrick will be asking
Yes.
that. So
So,
Yeah.
So we'll have some idea. Okay, thanks.
yeah.
Go ahead, Judith.
Thank you, Mayor. So first of all, I just wanted to comment on the process. I really appreciated that we had some work sessions to really hone in and, we really took off what we thought was the fluff
Sure.
and really got down to, to the brass tacks here. And I appreciate that process. So thank you for working with us with that. I am impressed with the 583 respondents. That gets my attention. People are interested and engaged, and that really makes me feel good. And I'm looking forward to the community engagement. My takeaway from reviewing this several times was that I kind of got the takeaway that people really want a hybrid approach. I mean, they're willing to take a little bit of the pain and, and definitely the city needs to look at our spending, absolutely. And also, we need to think about taxes, but I had this pretty positive feeling that the community thought, no one entity can do this. And, just to remind you that, it's much more than 2 million. I mean, we cannot take money from the, parking enterprise. I mean, I can say with confidence that we have been talking about the marijuana money eventually drying up since I've been on council since 2020. And I'm sure that conversation was being had before I came to council. So that's why one of the reasons why we were able to have the reserves we have so that we can continue city functions at the level that we're continuing on now. But I just thought the community, I just felt like it was more of a, a little, some here and some there. And it's not a one area that we're going to focus. We're not going to put all our eggs in this one basket. And I appreciated that takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think when you think about the, various ways that this could have gone, it could have been, don't reduce anything, don't raise taxes, like figure it out. And we've seen, I've seen that at least a few times where no one's really acknowledging that there's an issue that could be solved by budget reductions. And they certainly don't want taxes increased, but they think there's some other kind of third magic way to do things. And, I think it's encouraging that we don't really see that in these results. It's very much just like, okay, let's all be part of this conversation. And I think I'll commend you all for this survey itself, because this is not a step that a lot of municipalities take. Just at least in my experience, maybe they kind of have some process, but then they put a sales tax increase on the ballot or something. But there's no kind of education or really kind of open door process to say, hey, when have you looked at our general fund budget? Have you looked at these things? What do you think? It's really a pretty transparent process that again, a lot of municipalities don't take this extra step. And to your point about the 583, I think part of that too is just the extra effort that the city went by sending the postcard to make sure that as many people as possible could participate in this, knowing that, it's of course never going to be everyone jumping in and participating, but the 583 is certainly a very encouraging number. So.
No questions, just a special thanks to the residents who took the survey. And I really hope that same level of engagement we see with the community. And thank you, Ryan, for facilitating and coordinating and managing it.
Right. Excellent. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment on Thursday night and Saturday. The participants will get a little bit additional information about the budget. Nate will be presenting some additional details about the budget. So you'll have a little bit additional information as you have those conversations, which will be, I think, helpful as you move forward.
Excellent. All right. And since we've got a bit of an audience today, how many folks are planning on attending one of the community budget sessions this week? So, okay, cool. Quite a few. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you all.
Right. Next up, we have continued consideration of amenity requirements, restroom facilities for parking facilities, and that is Fred. All right. Thank you for bringing this back to us again.
Thank you very much, Mayor. For the record, Fred Rollenhagen, Planning Director. This presentation, what we have in the memo is pretty short, so I'll make it short and sweet. But as you recall, this work session began on May 12th, and this is essentially a continuation of that work session. And the memo from May 12th is also in your packet for your review. If you have any questions about that, let me know. But at the end of the May 12th meeting, Council had directed staff to gather input and comments from two boards, the Manitou Springs Metro District and your own MAPS board. So since then, we went ahead and attended both boards, presented the issue, and received comment. The comments are summarized in your packet, and I can answer any questions about that, but there were a good number of comments. In summary, a very broad, high level analysis of those comments were that while there appears to be general support for the additional public restrooms in general, and in particular, support for additional public restrooms at the incline, there did not appear to be agreement, or I did not identify agreement on how those restrooms should be funded or who should be responsible for providing funding or constructing those restroom facilities. So that's the real high level takeaway. But you can take a look at what the comments are. There was some talk, basically, I don't want to say disagreement, but the comments reflected that either the city should pay for them, that the developers of future parking lots should pay for them, or in one case, businesses should also help pay for any new restrooms. So that was the takeaway. And I'll leave it at that. Are there any questions at this time?
So at this point, we are deciding how to move forward with this issue. So whether to bring it back to a regular meeting or not.
Yes, that's correct. Right now, staff is seeking guidance and direction on how to move forward. If you are interested in looking at any kind of potential draft language, or if you're interested in looking or identifying, doing some more research, we can do that as well.
Go ahead, Nate.
Thanks as always, Fred, and I appreciated you engaging MAP and also the Metro District, because that came out of the last session. Can you just give sort of a high-level executive summary on the sentiments that came out from their feedback? I know it's in the notes, but it may be useful for the public record, if you can.
Talking about like in a little bit more detail of what each board.
Directionally, how did you feel the sentiment was from those two stakeholders?
I think very high. I think very, very high level. There was. I did not see agreement from the Metro District on who should pay for them. There was some suspicion over the origination of this idea, and then. Sorry, that was the Metro District Board, and then the MAPS Board. The comments were more varied, from overall general support for having a parking lot developer pay for new restrooms, to feelings that the city should be paying for public restrooms because it's a public service. Does that help?
Are there grant opportunities that the city can apply for to support the development of public restrooms?
Specifically, I'm not aware of, but I think there are general grant I think there are some grant opportunities out there. I would have to search and see what is available. There might be some grant opportunities because we're a historic district. So there might be some historic preservation grant money, but I'd have to take a look at that and see.
I was just curious. So yeah, Denise, go ahead.
So a couple of things I just want to mention is, one, today we had a request to put together a map of all the public restrooms in the city, because there's a couple that's really not identified. One is the MAC, the library, some other things. So we will be putting that together. And regarding the incline, I do want to mention I've been in conversations with Corral Springs. They are looking right now at doing a design to hire somebody to do the design and get a cost estimate and seeing what it's going to take for that line, that sewer line. I haven't gotten an exact date of when they, I believe, have a RFP out or had it out. And then they're going to be selecting the company to do that and then when that will be completed. So I haven't gotten that date, but I have asked once they know exactly the process and the steps, if they would come and present to you, the city council. I did find a grant opportunity that it might be a big stretch, but might be a stretch to help with the incline restrooms. So we're looking into that now.
Oh, Julie, go ahead.
I can't remember, but exactly, but I thought the conditional use permit for the incline required Colorado Springs to build restrooms at their expense. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd have to look that up again because I don't want to be, I don't want to say exactly, but I believe you're correct that on the incline CUP, it does say restrooms. I can't, I'd have to look up whether it says build because right now they're offering restrooms with the porta potties or the portlets. So I'd have to look at the CUP.
Well, that seems relevant to me because if they're already legally obligated to build restrooms on their money, then we don't need to have our staff spending their time trying to help them get grants. We just have to hold their feet to the fire and say, if it's true, you promised to do this years ago, it was supposed to be done by now, get it done or we're gonna, close the incline, like, let's get serious, stop it. If it says that all they have to do is, because I remember some discussion about how frequently they had to clean the porta potties because they were so disgusting and they only cleaned them like once a day, 5 days a week. Remember that whole thing came up. So I'm not sure the answer to my question, but if it turns out that they are already responsible to do that, I would suggest we hold their feet to the fire and push that rather than spinning our wheels, having our limited staff working on trying to help them get more money. They can figure that out themselves.
So just to clarify though, the bathrooms at the incline would be providing bathrooms at an amusement, not connected to a parking lot. So it actually isn't, it's helpful information, a good update, but it's not actually what we're discussing today. So I don't mind, I would love.
Saying it
Yeah.
because apparently with the community responses, that was a big thing.
I agree. I think
So
it's really
that's the only
important.
reason
I
I'm
just
bringing
wanted
it up.
to, yeah, that's all. I
But
just
it
wanted
is
to make
not-
sure.
Has nothing to do with if we're going to have an ordinance about new parking lots or old parking lots or any of that. I recognize that
Okay,
the incline is not a parking lot.
thank you. Okay, any other questions for Fred? Okay, all right. Well, I guess at this point, I think we have quite a bit of information and we just need to discuss whether or not we move forward with this this opportunity.
And Mayor, how would you characterize the opportunity?
So again, do we want to move forward with having the planning department put together some sort of a policy that we would be approving as council to consider requiring bathroom facilities be a part of any new parking lot development?
Not at this time, from my point of view. I think to decouple and maybe look at other municipalities in terms of how they view the ecosystem of bathrooms, I think makes sense, but linking it to parking facilities, I don't think is supportive at this time.
Carrie, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, when I did the math, it's what, 13.5 spaces per public restroom. And that seems like a pretty good, amount to me. Maybe there's a standard that other cities work towards. I don't know that we've heard that, but I'm not in favor of forcing restroom building with new parking. I think we need new parking and it might delay a lot being developed because of the expense of adding the restroom.
Judith?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay. And Julie?
Yeah, I'm a lot more interested in looking at an ordinance that says that if you want to build a new parking lot in town, that it's not automatic that you should be allowed to do it. I think it should be a conditional use permit that's based on, the community sentiment and the location, because there's a lot of opposition on the west side to, they don't want that whole strip of road on Manitou Avenue to just turn into parking lots, because it's a residential area as well. And the people don't like having all the, trees cut down and the houses, demolished and all these parking lots. So I'm more interested in looking at some sensitivity to the location of future parking lots than I am in mandating bathrooms at this time.
Okay, so I'll ask everyone else in a moment on that one. John?
Well, several things that is kind of interesting to me. Private parking lots pay absolutely no taxes other than property taxes. Do not pay sales tax. They do not pay amusement tax. Okay. So I guess I kind of bristle that other people are essentially being taxed and asked to build restroom facilities. I go back to what the city has already done. Okay. We acted in good faith and built a public restroom at taxpayers' expense for the Wichita lot. Okay. Which we do not own. We also are building restrooms, okay, in partnership with the Cog Railway for Hiawatha Gardens. I anticipate those are going to be very successful. The restrooms that are at the Dillon parking lot I think are much appreciated. And I think council discussed that very thoroughly, that was a really big need to have restrooms in that facility. So I guess I would like to see us move forward with some kind of an ordinance that requires parking lot owners, regardless of who they are, whether there's a city or whether they're a private owner, what they would provide some kind of restroom facilities at their expense. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also not in favor of moving forward with this issue today, but I do think the opportunity to discuss where our bathrooms are located, how they're being utilized, what would be a goal for this community, I think is an interesting one that I think has started, and I think it will continue as we move forward as a council. And so I think this is an opportunity that I think is interesting. Julie did request that we consider a conditional use permitting process for the building of parking lots, future parking lots in Manitou Springs. Is that something council would like to discuss? I don't even know if that's. Is that, do you want to weigh, sorry, Fred, do you want to weigh in on that request? But-
No, the question was whether it already required a conditional use permit, and it does not. It's a permitted use in our commercial zoning districts.
Okay.
You,
When it's permitted use, am I guessing right? That means anyone can build a parking lot wherever they want.
correct, in conformance with the code. So usually with a parking facility or something like that, it would require some sort of a development plan, like a major.
And you have to have lighting and da-da-da-da-da, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about location of future parking lots, which I've heard from residents, particularly on the west side of Manitou, that they're very unhappy about the possibility of more and more and more parking lots being in their neighborhood. And so, yeah, I get it that right now, if you want to do a parking lot, you can, you just have to jump through all the hoops and have the lighting and da-da-da.
So, yeah,
And that includes the historic district. There's no difference, like if there's a building that is in the historic district that.
Yeah, a little bit separate issue, but yes, the zoning, the zoning transcends the historic district. So the zoning of the property determines whether a parking lot is permitted or not. If you're in the historic district, then you have the historic district code, historic preservation regulations that you must also comply with, but parking lot is still permitted by the zoning.
okay. Go ahead, Carrie.
I'd support putting that on a future agenda for discussion.
I would as well.
hoping that Gloria would be in favor, even though she's not here, because that's her
Can't
district.
do that, Julie.
It's her neighborhood. Those are her people. Those are the ones that are screaming.
All right. All right. It does sound like there's interest in moving forward with this conversation. And we can discuss what that looks like in terms of timing and what projects you're already working on and whatnot. So, all right. Excellent. Anything else for Fred? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Do you want to take a break? Quick break? Are we good? Oh, we have to, okay, okay, excellent. We are going to take a quick break. So, 6 o'clock, 15 minutes? Okay, all right. Thank you. Quick break.
Oh. Gotcha.
Okay, all right. I said 6 o'clock, but it's 5:55 and it looks like we're ready to go. So next up, we have discussion on staffing for special events. And we have our police chief, Otto, here today, and it's good to see you in person. It's great.
It's good to be here in person too.
Okay, yeah. And Denise is, I guess, gonna give a little
Yeah,
intro
I'll do
before
a
we get
quick
started.
Intro, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, Carrie, I thought you were, you moved. So, okay, good. So, this evening, the police chief will present his recommendations for the upcoming coffin races. As discussed a few weeks ago, the chief believes additional staffing is warranted this year, given the current national environment and incidents occurring across the country. Over the past several weeks, the chief has consulted with other agencies, our insurance provider, CIRSA, and the Colorado Rangers, and has conducted additional research regarding best practices for event safety. While national organizations such as the FBI provide general guidance, there is no single standard policy for events. Each event and each community presents their own unique set of circumstances. As a reminder, the city convenes a monthly internal event coordination group that includes police, fire, public works, parking, parks and rec, and the visitor center and event coordinators. I sent you that guide this afternoon. Some of this council approved that guide several years ago, and it's updated quarterly. And it's on our website for anybody that would like to see it. So you can go to our website. This group reviews and plans for each event, including road closures, parking, public safety considerations, and operational needs such as water and electricity and other resources. In addition, a separate safety meeting is held prior to each event with all relevant staff and partners. This collaborative process has been in place for many years to help ensure safe and successful events, and is one of the reasons we have had we've not had any major incidents over the last years. Tonight, the chief will walk through his recommendation for the coffin races based on his recent outreach and analysis. We anticipate returning later with a more comprehensive citywide policy framework for special events when there is timing to bring all parties together and to gather additional information from other communities. Lastly, I would note that we recently learned the arcade will be hosting a fundraiser this Saturday, with one of the beneficiaries being to support the coffin races and the related cost to this additional need. With that, I'll turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, Denise. We prepared a PowerPoint. What I'd like to do is go through the PowerPoint and then answer any questions afterwards, if that works for everybody. Goals. The goals are pretty simple. To ensure employees, participants, businesses, and visitors have a safe event. Safety is our main concern, right? We want to ensure the employees, businesses, participants, and visitors have a safe event and a positive experience. Collaboration, continue collaboration with all entities. Visit Manitou Springs, the school, and nonprofit organizations. Partners, identify long-term partners who can assist with events as needed. And our reputation as a city. To ensure the city of Manitou Springs has a reputation where safety is the priority. How other communities handle event staffing. As Denise said, I did a lot of research. I looked at the IACP, which is the International Association of Chief Police, the CACP, Colorado Association of Chiefs of Police. I looked at Colorado Springs, El Paso County, Buena Vista, Monument, Salida, to see how they were doing things, if we could learn anything from them. The ones you see up here, Buena Vista augments staff with outside agencies, but this has become difficult due to other agencies' own workloads. Chief recommends limiting to 7 to 8 events per year. I spoke to the chief a couple hours ago today again. They've become so inundated with events. They have 4 main events they hold each year. They get about 10,000 plus participants that come. That's all they can handle. They have officer burnout from working these events. They have costs. They have to get with other agencies, like we've talked about before, to augment their staffing. Sure.
You said 10,000 is all they can handle. Do they cap their events at
No.
10,000?
No, he did not say that. I asked him an amount. How many people attend? Give me your best guess. He said 10,000 plus.
I see. Thank you.
Colorado Springs, they're a little bit different. Everybody knows they're much, much bigger than any of the other cities up there. They use a third-party organizer called Extra Duty Solutions. They coordinate directly with CSPD and the event organizers. So what they do is an event organizer will contact them instead of contacting the police department and say, this is what we're doing. This is how many officers we think we'll need. Then they'll contact Colorado Springs Police Department and they'll say, we need this many officers. Can you do it? At the end of the event, the ESD, they're the ones that pay Colorado Springs, who in turn pays the officers who work the event. Salida, they're pretty much the same as Buena Vista. Salida has a population of about 6,000 people. Buena Vista has about 3,000 people, so they're pretty much the same in size. They have staffing difficulties just like Buena Vista. Cannot count on assistance from the sheriff's office due to the sheriff's office having their own manpower issues. Monument, our closest in size city, they do things a little bit differently. They do have an SOP policy. I'm not sure what they really call it, a policy or an SOP, but they do have it on paper. All their officers come out to work the event, all available officers. You have officers that work night shifts that obviously can't come and work another, 12-hour day event and go back and work another night shift. So all hands on deck for that. So what they do is they augment with the Colorado Rangers. Cost varies on the event and numbers of officers needed.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can
Go
I-
ahead.
Did, I've been reading all these different, national, association recommendations and things, from security professionals. And I noticed that they talk not only about how many police officers per visitor, which seems to range, average around between 50 and 100, average. So for one police officer for each 100 people that are there, but they also talk about security professionals, not necessarily licensed police officers, but security professionals, which I'm guessing that's like the people who stand at the bank with, a gun on their hip, just in case somebody tries to rob the bank, but they're not all police officers. So have you done any research about, I mean, it's all over, everything I read talks about that, but I didn't see anything in your memo about security professionals, but you did talk about it at our last work session. So do you have any information on that and cities doing that? So you're not just, it's sort of like you don't just need doctors, you can sometimes nurses
Sure.
can do the job, and it's kind of like that.
You're-
Just to have more people, and then they talk about where they should be positioned and putting those concrete barriers up in certain areas to prevent vehicles from, coming down a side street and crashing in. But I didn't see anything about that in your memo. I wonder if you could tell us what you
Sure.
know about that.
I think you're talking about security guards. Okay. Yeah,
They're less expensive than police too, so I can see why there's all this stuff on the internet about, oh, don't just have police officers, have those, but also have these security guards, I guess would be the more common term.
yes. Security guards are fine. They don't have the same powers that a sworn police officer has, right? Some are armed, some aren't. It's up to each company to issue their firearms license. I know at the Coffin specifically for the beer tent, they have security guards working up there and they check IDs and all that stuff. talking with the chief earlier from Salida. Actually, I talked to both from the Buena Vista and the Salida chief again earlier today, and they don't utilize their officers for that kind of stuff. It's up to the event organizer and the coordinator to hire the security to do that. So that's a long answer to your question, but yes, they can be used.
So
And
do you
just,
see, that doesn't really answer my question. I guess I didn't word the question well. Let me try one more time and then I'll let you move on. What if any, why are you only talking about police officers? Why is there no reference in here to security guards that would help improve the safety? Because with your recommendation of having 25 policemen or police officers for 12 to 15,000 people, even though everything on the internet says it should be kind of 1 to 100, although they don't all have to be officers, they can be security guards too. That would be between one officer for each 480 people or for each 600 people, depending if we get 12,000 or 15,000. So did you look? It
Yeah,
sounds
I
like you
did.
didn't consider that as
I did
another
consider it,
way
and,
to keep us safe.
and I think I did speak about it last time.
Oh, but I'm talking about your memo for where we.
Oh,
today.
okay. Why isn't are you asking me why
Or
it
do you,
isn't?
do you think it would be a good idea for us to look at paying professional security guards to supplement the paid police officers?
We could look at that.
Is there
And-
any detriment to doing that, other than you have to pay them? Because one officer for 500 people, that sounds pretty,
And the standards you're referring
Crazy.
to, Ms. Wolf, and if you remember what I said last time, 4 security guards need to be supervised by 1 officer. So you can't take the security guards and put them out there and say, go do your thing. You'd want a sworn officer to be not in charge of them, but be with them.
okay. So if we have 25 officers, then we can have 25 times 4, we can have 100 security guards. And I'm just saying, you're saying you only want 4 security guards for each officer to keep things appropriate or safe.
Well, I wouldn't commit right this second to the amount of security guards we would need.
No, but I
What
mean,
I'm
you're
simply
saying you
saying-
don't want to have more than 4 security guards per officer. Is that what you're saying?
Generally, yes.
Okay, well, that's helpful because I didn't know that.
Okay.
so let,
Thank
so,
you.
yeah, so this isn't a suggestion for additional. And just, so you know, currently, the chamber pays 1,300 for security guards, right now for the beer tent.
Right.
Yep. So, okay. Please continue. Thank you. $1,300 for security guards currently.
I'm not talking about the money. I'm not interested in talking about the money at this stage. I just want to look at the security issues. We can figure out the money later.
Okay. Moving on. I met with some of the representatives from CIRSA, our insurance carrier. Denise was there. Chamber of Commerce was there. Their recommendations are what we do anyway. Road closures recommended by sworn officers that are patrolled by sworn officers, and it's a stationary post. The insurance, they went into this quite a bit and they hit on it a lot. That second line there, CIRSA recommends additional insured on all entities, liability insurance, 1 million minimum. Purchasing additional insurance is the responsibility of the different entities. Events and hosts and their board of directors are held accountable, not the city, not the police.
May I comment on that?
Sure.
I just feel that that's not a true statement. If an event director or coordinator were to be sued for any reason, the city of Manitou Springs would be held liable also,
Well,
in addition to because the city is hosting the event. We would be considered and we have a lawyer here, but I used to work for a hospital, and let me tell you, if there was a bad outcome, the first thing that is included in the lawsuit is the hospital, because they've got the deepest pockets and they're also liable if the event occurred in their facility. That is also true for cities. So I just want to make sure that that if something horrendous happened and our safety was breached, I can guarantee you that the city would be included in that lawsuit.
And I can guarantee you, if we didn't take steps to make it better, more safe, we would be having more liability. I understand what you're saying. I've been doing this a long time and I know what you're talking about. They go for the deepest pockets. Everybody gets named in these suits. That's simply their recommendation. This is what they're telling us, that we should make sure these event entities, organizers ask for.
Is there criteria for the 1 million? Is there an event number, or, I mean, is that all events? I mean, and it was news to me in the packet that the events are already doing this. So is that all events? I'm getting a nod from the.
Yeah,
okay,
yes,
Single one, regardless, it's a $1 million policy.
yes.
Do you know what the cost of that policy is?
They, and Denise, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they said it would be an extra $100.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on the insurance. So
Yeah.
we don't know that. I don't know if any of the individuals here would know that, but I don't know what the additional cost is. But it is something, and it's not just one entity. Every entity that's involved with that has to put the city on as an additional insured of up to $1 million.
Thank you.
Manitou Springs and Visit Manitou Springs collaboration. The chief of police, myself, has met with Manitou Springs to establish what is necessary to continue holding events safely and what adequate sworn officer staffing looks like. Additional officers needed. Larger events require more officers than MSPD can provide on its own. Approximate cost for hiring additional officers, approximately. We have, our staffing varies, as I've talked about before. We get officers, we lose officers, they move on. I can't give a guaranteed number of officers that I'll have available by the next event. To make sure that we have enough officers, we're going to have to look for them elsewhere, whether it be the Colorado Rangers, Colorado Springs Police Department, El Paso County Sheriff's Office. We're going to have to do that. Even if we were completely fully staffed, we wouldn't have what I feel is an adequate number to host an event like the coffin race. High-risk events, I know we've talked about this before. Events with alcohol served, large attendance, and smaller venues require a larger officer presence. I think we've measured it out here, the area, Manitou Avenue, where this race takes place and where everybody congregates to watch the race. I think it's 0.6 of a mile. We crammed 10, 12,000 people in there. That's a lot. We've had issues in the past with people, but nothing horrible. But when you pile that many people into that small of an area, it creates different problems as far as officers responding from one side of the street to the other. Half a block down, trying to get around and navigate around people. More officers we have present, the better chance we have getting an officer where they need to be in time.
Can I just mention to this, part of this is we did meet with the chamber, both the chief, myself, Natalie was part of that meeting. We met with April and with Jenna. It was a very positive meeting, talked about the concerns, talked about what we needed to do move forward. So just want to mention it was a very positive meeting. It was something you requested that we do, and we did that. So thank you.
And that's the next slide. No, it's not. Industry standards for event staffing. Ms. Chandler, as you said, or as Ms. Wolf, there is nothing concrete saying you will have this many officers per this many of thousands of people, the recommendations. We can't come close to what those recommendations are. After talking to a lot of the agencies that I've talked to, looking at the FBI stuff, the IACP, the CACP, talking with our insurance people. They say, Chief, if you act in good faith, you've done your due diligence. Now, I know that can be interpreted a lot of different ways. Augmenting our staff of, say, 10 officers that are assigned to Manitou Springs by an additional 15 officers from other agencies, we're acting in good faith. We're doing something positive to make it better, safer for everybody involved. And staffing is based on various risk factors, and I think we've kind of touched on that. The crowded spaces, the venues, the amount of people, alcohol served, what type of event it is, concerts, and we have wine tasting events and all these other things. So we'll talk a little bit about the coffin races, and please understand this presentation is not just about the coffin races. It's about all the events. This is kind of what got me really thinking about it, seeing these events happen and the staffing we've had available. As we all know, it draws anywhere from 8,000 to 15,000 people and requires a detailed staffing plan of 25 officers. Crowd size, 8,000 to 15,000 attendees, attracting varying groups. Some of the risk factors, costumes with covered faces, alcohol, crowded sidewalks, streets making officer movement difficult. I would like to say that I will have 10 officers available. I'm going to stick by that number. Hopefully we can keep our numbers up. Myself is included as one of those officers, and so is our commander. We need to get 15 more. 10 from us, 10 external hires. We need to man 7 road closure points, and the remaining 16 people, I want to split up into 2-man teams and have them on foot patrol on each side of the street, and not leaning up against walls, watching all the activities, but actively foot patrolling up and down the streets. We've talked about a lot of this before too. We review every event and classify by risk level to determine the appropriate number of officers needed. Again, we've talked about the high risk event, what makes it a high risk event. Low risk event, no alcohol served. We don't need as many officers. Attendance is smaller. Sure.
So because coffin races, alcohol isn't actually served on the streets. It's in the restaurants. So is any event in downtown, because restaurants serve alcohol, considered high risk?
That's a good question. I would think the availability of alcohol, and that's not even taken into, people bring their own alcohol too, right? They bring it in themselves. We know they do. We stop them when we catch them. But I would have to say yes.
So like Christmas parade?
Well,
I mean, I'd
That's
have
what-
to ask, that seems like a stretch to make everything high risk just because it's in downtown.
This also has a beer tent with it, which like the Christmas parade does not, but there is a beer tent with this event.
Hey, well, if there wasn't a beer tent, would it be less risk?
No, because
Are we
everybody,
talking about the coffin races or our Christmas parade?
Since this is about not just the coffin races, it's about an
All
overall
events,
risk,
all events, yes. and
all
Manitou
events.
Springs.
I'm just trying to figure out how you're evaluating the risk profile. Because
I got you. I understand what you're saying. If there was a beer tent set up for the Christmas parade, yes. If not, I would say no. I'm sure people go to dinner and they have a couple drinks. I wouldn't categorize that as a high risk event. No. Denise is going to speak about this one.
Yeah, I'll just bring this up. I just learned last week about a fundraiser that was doing, I just mentioned that to you tonight. It's the arcade on Saturday, and they have said that they want to give a certain amount. I don't know what that would mean or how much that would be towards this to help defer some of this cost. So I want to mention that to you. Also, I know both the city and the Visit Manitou Springs is looking at their budgets. And we did not have this number when we met with the Visit Manitou Springs, but the rangers will charge about $80 an hour, but they require a minimum of 8 hours. So that would come to 9,600. And then we're charging 4,600. So you would do the 4,600 plus the 9,600 for the total cost of this. I do want to mention by getting the Colorado Rangers on, and Chief, you may want to add, what it does is it builds a relationship. So in the future, if we need them or if we need them to help with just police coverage overall, they're an organization that we can call. So it does help with collaboration.
I have a question. It was my understanding that the Colorado Rangers volunteer. They do not?
We thought that too, but go
well,
ahead, Chief.
There was a group, and I may have their name wrong. The Pikes Peak Rangers, does that sound familiar to anybody? They were the volunteers. They weren't sworn officers. They would ride their horses around. They would show up at events. The Colorado Rangers, I believe they're based out of Denver, or one of their offices is out of Denver. Their cops are all certified, post-certified police officers with arrest powers. They are not free, as you can see.
Oh, and they specifically do events. I do know that. I've looked into it.
They
And I
do,
know-
they do a little bit more.
Do they? And I know that they're sworn officers. My next question would be a segue to you then. You said, gee, I hope I have 10 officers. I really hope so, but let's say you have 7. Are we able to increase in a very short period of time? Are we able to get more Colorado Rangers or other sworn officers or a hybrid of security in a short period of
I'm
time to
confident
fill
I
that
could do
gap?
that, yes. You didn't look. Saw the way you looked at me when I said I was confident. I didn't.
Oh, I know you're confident. It's just that I'm not going to go out on the coffin race day and count. I'm just going to assume that, if you say we need X amount of people,
That is
at least
25
X
is
amount of
is
people
my
are going to be
number.
there.
And if we're short, then I will look elsewhere. And like I said, I'm confident we can find officers to hit that number.
Chief, the last meeting we were at 20 and now we're at 25. Is that a flex? Is that 5 a flex number to Counselor Chandler's question? I mean, hope for 25, we can be okay with 20 since that was your original number, wasn't it?
It was 20, and
Can I just add? Because the reason it increased mainly was CIRSA said officers, almost, they didn't say absolute, but highly, highly recommend that an officer is at every road closure, which wasn't what we had talked about.
exactly. And I was usually we have, and I think everybody's seen it. We have our public works out there and a couple of our public works folks manning those points. I think I might have mentioned this before too, but I have personally seen cars go right around them and wave at them or make another gesture to them as they go around them. They don't stop. Having an officer, a sworn officer there in a uniform with a vest on, hopefully will make them think twice about doing something like that. Not only that, the officer has a radio to call a plate in if we need to. They highly recommended it. We've already kind of identified the roads we want closed for the coffin races. And it's the same ones we always use pretty much. I don't think we added any new ones. No, but that makes up that extra number.
Do we bus people in for this event? Who pays for the bus?
do you want Jenna to come up and answer all those
She's-
questions?
it's
Because
the
I don't have
chamber.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't have the
Yeah,
answers.
I
Yeah.
don't need Jenna if we know it's the chamber. I just wanted to make sure. I recommend that since we are so understaffed with officers, even with going with CIRSA's minimum requirements of one officer per road closure, I recommend that we control the number of people who are in town by eliminating those buses. Because if people are going to be bussed in by the thousand, then here we are with a problem with one officer for each 500 or 600 people. But if we can eliminate all those people being bussed in, we necessarily can reduce the crowd size, and that's another way to achieve a safer event. I object to having all these extra people bussed in. If people come and they park, there's only so many parking spots, or they might Uber in or something, but we can certainly control the number of people who come in by eliminating those buses. And I would recommend that's one thing that we should at least discuss. I recommend it.
So yes, I wrote it down for discussion later once he's done presenting. Do you want to respond to the shuttle when we just?
I just wanted to ask if we could find out tonight, probably how many people get bussed in
Sure.
and where they come from. I think that'd be an interesting
Yeah,
data
so,
point.
so Jenna's in the audience, so why don't we collect some questions for her and we can bring her up when we have questions. Okay, if you want to continue, that would be great.
Oh,
Last slide is mine.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
go
wanted to
ahead.
bring this up too. As you can see that there is a financial impact, positive financial impact, but I wanted to go through the next slide, please. What the total is, and this is for September, October, November 23, 24, 25. It's the total sales tax, and then what's in parentheses is amusement bars and restaurant sale tax. So you could see that for the month of where those come from for that, just each month for 23, 25, September, October, and November.
And
Because there's
Denise,
no
how
way
is
to-
that supposed to help inform us? When I saw that slide, I thought, interesting, what does that have to do with this? And I don't mean that sarcastically. Is that to prove that, hey, the bars are doing better in 24 than they did in 25? I mean, how does that pertain to the discussion of safety?
So I can't go through and say what we bring in by every week, but I can say that one of the things that you have looked at is economic development and how we bring people in and how that increases the sales tax. So I wanted to just, because there's been numbers brought up saying that this brings in whatever, and I don't know that. I can't say that this event brings in this, but I can say that here's where the sales tax is. by
And
each
would it be fair to say that the lion's share or a big percentage of those sales tax numbers are from the coffin races? And if so, would that be under the November column since the taxes are usually paid a month later?
No, this is the October, specifically for October. And it
Well,
also
look,
shows that September, well, you have September, October, November. So they're specifically for that month. So for instance, September, probably the marathon and the Ascent helps bring in some of those. October, I would assume, just like I did for September, that the coffin races helps increase some of that sales
I
tax.
see. In that case, if we're getting over $80,000 for the month, I don't think we should be too worried about quibbling over a few dollars to prevent or to help prevent a massive, horrible outcome like Columbine or something. I mean, if we're getting $82,000, pardon? Oh, thank you. So if we're getting like $82,000 for the month, thank you. If we're getting $82,000 for the month, I think we should be able to spend some of that to supplement the officers with some security guards, certainly no more than 4 per officer per the chief's suggestion. But that looks like those are some significant dollar amounts that allegedly are linked to this event. So I'm not I'm not convinced that the extra money that we'd have to spend to get some extra security guards is prohibitive, given all the revenue that's being generated of the tax money.
Okay, so thanks for giving feedback. I think we're still asking questions and sort of getting all on the same page. Do you have any additional information to share? Okay, so we did have one question that we wanted answered. Jenna, could you quickly come up and let us know the number of people that take the shuttle in?
Oh, hi, Chief. Hi, Council. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to answer some questions if you have them. Jenna Wells, Visit Manitou Springs. And last year, we had 2,198 people ride our shuttles in from the Citizen Service Center, which is out on Garden of the Gods Road. We've got a great relationship with El Paso County. They're continuing to let us use that parking structure year after year at no cost to afford us that parking for coffin races.
And I believe that the shuttle was implemented as a request from the city or council to begin with, or there was like conversations around how to move people. Do you remember the history of that? I was just curious.
I've been a part of the coffin races and Visit Manitou since 2017. We have always operated shuttles, just in different locations. We had to find a new location with more parking availability because Coronado and Rockledge Ranch were no longer offering that parking option to us.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Jenna. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, do we have any? Sure. Is that okay, Jenna?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what was the parking, which parking lots were used in 2025?
So we just use the Citizen Service Center on 1675 Garden of the Gods Road.
And that's what we're doing again this year?
That would be the plan.
And did you say 2,980 something?
2,198 people.
198. Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Jenna, good. Do you have a question for Jenna or just a general? Are we good? Okay. All right, Jenna, thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And then Judith, you have a question?
Yeah, well, just some comments. So when we were discussing this at the last work session, it is my clear understanding, and I'm going to count on Councillor Nassif to help me with my memory, that we talked about having staff come back with a citywide safety policy for events. Or that's the direction that I was understanding that we gave. And when I got the packet, I was really trying to connect the dots. The information in the packet was very frustrating to me because when we had our first work session, we were, you said, I need 10 extra officers at this amount. And you quoted a range of $64 to $96 per, somewhere in that, there was a range
Yes.
of $64 to $96. The Colorado Rangers were not part of that conversation. And so while I'm very happy to hear that Jenna and the mayor and you and our city administrator met, I didn't find that out till this morning. And so what I would like to encourage the process is to be that once you do meet, that you take the time to let the rest of council know that you did meet and give us the bullet points of what you discussed, because all of a sudden from the first meeting, I realized, oh, this is not the direction we're going. We're not talking about an event, a citywide event policy. That's going to take a while. So now I kind of teased out, we have two issues, right? Because now it's 25 officers. And I'm like, did some people get in a room and figure this? How did you get from we need 10 to we need 25? And I was trying to connect those dots. So my recommendation is when these meetings occur, please, have the decency to let the rest of council know that you had a meeting and just say, these are the main things we talked about. The other thing is that I would have liked to see on this slide, just mainly for the community, because I already looked into this. I looked this all up, just as Councillor Wolf did. The IACP and the CACP recommendations, you mentioned them, but you didn't tell us what they were. And I think it would have been really a good thing, just because I even think they're too they're too high. I can't imagine a municipality being able to like staff, police officers at that level and be able to function. But I would have liked to have that as a point of reference, because if an accident or event did happen and a lawsuit did ensue, lawyers do look at, did you follow, what guidelines did you follow? So those are the things that keep me up at night. I don't want to cancel any events. I don't want to not have the coffin races, but I do want us to be safe. And I'm willing to break this into two pieces, to just decide on what it is we're going to do for the coffin races this year. And then, so that they can happen. And then we come back to the table and we work on a citywide event policy with criteria for safety for events. So I'm willing to do that too. I also want us to think about, though, and this is a good time to be talking about it, is there a tipping point? And if so, what is it? Right? Is there a tipping point where the city boundaries of Manitou Springs cannot handle more than X amount of people? Is there a time where we have to say, look, we can handle 15,000 on a closed road with alcohol available, a beer garden, but that's it. And then what do we do? So I want us to have these community conversations where we, just like the budget survey, we're working together for a solution. We're working together on it. Because I was just sitting at home with my packet this weekend going, how do we get from 10 to 25? What was that criteria? Did you guys blindfold yourself and you had a dartboard and you had numbers on it and you just, get 25, 1? I was just trying to I'm not trying to knit this together. I knew it was a little more informed with that, but you can see my frustration in trying to make sure that our number one job is keeping the city safe, and job one. And to what end we have to do that? I'm concerned that 25 officers is not enough officers. I also just found out this morning about the fundraiser, which is another layer of, we didn't even discuss, well, what if the fundraiser generates $3,000? I mean, does that go directly to pay the officers? Does it go to the we haven't discussed what that looks like or what we're doing with that. So there's more conversations to be had. And so I'm still real frustrated. Is 25 officers enough officers? Do you really feel that 25 is going to be adequate for possibly 10 to 15,000 people?
I can tell you, I would not recommend 25 officers if I did not think it would be adequate. If I thought 50 officers was the minimum, I would tell you that. The fact is, the way we've been doing it, and I've been here 5 years as the chief of police, and I've seen it every year, and we get different complaints every year from staff. My own officers will come and say, Chief, I'm burned out. He had me working this and this and this and this. We needed to do something. It should have been done a while ago. I think addressing this now in the climate that this country is in, we need to take it serious. We need to act on it. If I did not think 25 officers could do the job, then I would tell you that, and I would ask for more. Now, I don't have a crystal ball and I can't see into the future. I can't tell you one way or the other it's going to go off without a hitch. I don't know. But we'll prepare. I could tell you we take all these events serious. We go to the area meetings, either I go or the commander goes, and at the very least, we'll have a sergeant go to them. We hear the event, we get all the details, we put an ops plan together, we talk about it, we make assignments, and myself, usually commander with me, but I'll walk the route. I'll go to the area and check it out myself. If I see something, I'll bring it up. we don't take it lightly, I guess is what I'm trying to do. We're serious about it because it could be catastrophic if something went wrong. It could be horrible, and none of us want that. If I said 25 and I did say 25, I feel confident that that is a good number. And you said it earlier, Ms. Chandler. We'll finish out this year, we'll do the coffin races, and then we'll do an after action report, right? We'll say what went wrong. Oh, we had enough officers, or no, we didn't have enough officers. Maybe we should look at it. Increasing, I can't see us decreasing it, but increasing it, maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. We will definitely sit down with who's ever interested and give our feedback on how we thought as a police department. And I'm just strictly talking about the police department. In our view, how we did, what we could have done better, what we should have done, what we shouldn't have done. And we'll put that out there and take any and all recommendations seriously and move on from there and make it better for the next year.
Thank
Can
you
I-
for that statement. I guess my last ask of the mayor and council tonight then is that we consider just the coffin race issue tonight, but that we bring back this fall a work session where we look at an event-wide safety policy, including all of the stakeholders, the chamber and everyone else, and we look at funding sources so that the community can know that we're on top of it. And we can present it to the community and they can say, yeah, we rubber stamp this. So that would be my ask, is that we don't let this just die on the vine. You put on one of your slides that ultimately, the decision making for any event falls on you. And I would hazard to say that it falls on us. At the end of the day, it falls on us, and I want us to have a big seat at that table. So that would be my
Sure,
ask.
in
Thank you.
collaboration, right? I have no problems taking any suggestions or Otto, you're way off base here. I have no
Not today,
problems.
today you're.
Can I just want to make a point of clarification is we went from 20 officers, 10 of our own, and asking for 10 to 25 officers. So we're asking for 5 additional officers. And it's really due to SRSA saying you need to have them at the road closures. So we didn't increase it by 20, we really increased it by 5 officers from the last time.
And Denise, oh, sorry.
That was, I'm sorry, that was it, Ms. Storm.
Mhm.
When SRSA said have a uniformed officer at these control points, that's where the number jumped up from. Okay.
Okay. And just another quick question. Do we need to decide the financials today, or is that something that once we can wait until next week after we see how the fundraiser went? We've had a chance to discuss this further with the chamber.
Well, I will defer to council if you want this brought back for us to have another conversations about financials, or if you want to give us direction today. So I think you have several options, right? We don't know what the fundraiser will bring in. It's an additional $9,600 right now is what we're needing. So if it brings in $9,600, we don't have anything to worry about. If it brings in 3,000, do you want the city to find the funding and pay for it? Do you want it a split? What would you like? That way we just have direction. I think everybody can plan and move forward
Okay.
then.
Well, let's split that up too. So first off, let's kind of go around and say, are we comfortable with the 25 officers that our police chief is recommending? And I guess that's the first question.
I'm comfortable. I had a question when you circled back around.
Okay, sounds good. Judith?
I have it on really good authority. This man sitting right in front of me that 25 officers is sufficient. So yes.
Great. 25 and we'll evaluate. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, so when SRSA gave you direction, that's why you increased it from 20 to 25, because they talked about what they thought was minimum safety. Do I get that right? And
The-
they said they wanted an officer at each.
We had to add the officers to the road closure points, yes,
And that's because of CIRSA's recommendation,
Yes.
is what you're saying?
yes.
And CIRSA said nothing about security guards. Do you think they're kind of useless then, since you made that comment about cars will just drive right by them anyway?
I
Do you
didn't
think
say
it's
that.
good?
I said,
I know I'm asking.
oh, well, I'm sorry.
Is it useless or would it be helpful?
No, it's not useless. Look. Security guards, they have a role. They do. They can augment the police, deputies or whatever. I'm trying to frame this correctly. Yes, there is a use for them in certain situations and circumstances.
Sorry, let me reframe the question. Do you think security guards would be useful in this situation?
Some, yes.
Yeah, so you wouldn't object if we directed the police to go ahead and hire a certain number of security guards to supplement the 25 officers?
To supplement, not
Yeah.
replace.
Correct, that's the question. Not more than, which we wouldn't get that high anyway, but certainly I heard you, not more than 4
Right,
guards per officer.
right.
But you
I
think
wouldn't
that
have
would
an
make it,
objection to that. No,
and
no.
you think it would be it could be helpful?
Yes. With that
And-
many people, absolutely could be helpful.
Pardon?
With that many people in attendance for like the coffin race, absolutely could be helpful.
So are you changing your recommendation? So the recommendation is 25.
The recommendation
But in
25.
life, more security guards could be helpful, but in this
Right.
particular situation, at this particular moment, you are
It's
suggesting.
25. I was responding.
Okay, I
to-
just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
because we were starting to change, I
Right.
thought, your recommendation for a moment.
For
So I-
this year, Chief is saying
Wouldn't-
25 is what we
Yeah,
need.
he's saying 25 minimum
Yes,
police officers.
yes,
And if you can't find any from from the local jurisdictions, you'll look at the Colorado Rangers, right, as
Yes.
backup? And 25 minimum. And if we can get the funding for additional for security guards to supplement the 25 officers, that would be a nice thing. Am I on the right track? I thought you just said, yeah, it would be. It should be.
yes, yes,
Okay.
it would.
Okay.
As long as it's a supplement to the 25 officers, I'm not,
Oh, yeah, I'm not suggesting at all that we eliminate some of the 25 officers and replace them with a security
Okay.
guard. I don't,
okay.
I'm not going there at all. My other question is, are there going to be those cement barricades as well in the areas where we don't want cars coming down Ruxton or wherever to interfere with the event?
I
Yes,
would have
there
to-
will be.
Yeah,
And there'll be cars. So yes, we use them every year.
car,
So we bring them
yeah.
over every year. So
So
yeah,
there's some
we bring-
barrier.
yes.
Okay, I just had to ask that because when I was trying to learn more about this online, they kept talking about the importance of those barriers as well, because whether you're a security guard or a police officer, if you're a car, you're not going to be able to
absolutely.
get around a big
Right.
concrete barrier.
Right.
Okay.
But obviously nothing that would impede emergency vehicles getting, okay.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
discussed the
Well,
whole
let's
time.
keep
they-
going. So you are in support of 25
I'm-
plus additional.
I'm in support of 25 plus additional security guards or security professionals, whatever they.
I don't know what that number would be.
Oh, yeah,
I
I'm.
We're just getting
answering-
suggestions from
we're
everyone.
We're just kind of.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, yeah, I'm good with 25, but I also want some security guards. though.
would take some
That's-
security guards, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
John?
So we're working with 25 people in an event size of how many people? Up to 15,000?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Carrie?
I support the 25. It's 150% increase from what we've done in the past. I think the thing to do is to do the 25 and have an after action and see how it goes.
Okay, and so Nate was going to say something quick and then Judith's next.
Yeah, I was just gonna build on, I think, whatever event safety framework emerges, this is what Counselor Judith was speaking to. I think having security guards in there, and I also think potentially like a volunteer corps may be very helpful, and I say that on a couple levels. First, I don't think the Kiwanis coffin race team is gonna have me back this year. they placed first in 24, and then I joined the team in 25, and we placed almost last. So I will be the first to raise my hand for a volunteer spot. That's not necessarily for you to comment. I don't want to put you as related to volunteers, but it seems to me that there could be a really nice thing, not deputized or overly trained, but just as sort of a neighborhood watch, get 50, 60 volunteers out there and
I'm
maybe
not
could
opposed
help
to
your
that
team.
at all.
So I think maybe that could be something neat in the event safety program. And then, Mayor, are you going to circle, and I'm comfortable with the 25 and for the coffin races. In terms of the cost, with the fundraiser and stuff, are you going to go back around? Do we want to talk about that? I'm comfortable funding it from the city if we need to. So I
So
think we
you
want to
would
think
be
about, I
the
think we want to think about
entirety-
what that cap is.
Covered.
And doesn't the city have discretion up to a certain limit from a budget perspective to support different operating things within the city? Is it 50K? Is it 40K? What is
So
that
can
number?
you wanna
And why
answer-
doesn't that apply here?
It has to be in the budget. So it's really,
Right.
this is, I can't just go say, I'm going to spend this amount of money. It needs to be budgeted accordingly. So that's all I'm asking for is if you want the city to cover it, we'll figure it out and I'll come back and tell you what we're needing to do and what we can cover and what we can't and where it needs to
Mhm.
come from.
Okay,
So-
and, yep, and but I know that Judith wanted to address the budget too, but just to clarify, so Nate, you are
Mhm.
comfortable paying everything on top, outside of what is raised at the fundraiser?
Yeah, I'm saying if the fundraiser comes back, and I hope not, $0, and I hope that's not the case, I'm in favor of the city supporting the
9,600.
9,600, yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Judith.
Make this a little layered and difficult. Okay, so and put a plug in for the fundraiser, which is the Penny Arcade on the 13th, right? From 2 to 6. So come. So in my perfect world, we would bring in more than $9,600. Wouldn't that be great? I don't know if that's going to happen, but if it did, let's just say it did, then I would say I use that extra money diligently to decide whether you can staff more, whether it's some security guards or another officer. So I would say, go for it, So that's, if we get in more, let's do it. Obviously, if we bring in 9,600, as Denise said, we're good. But since I have no idea of what the fundraiser is going to bring in, I'm reluctant to not have some discussion about a cost sharing. So let's just say, it brings in $3,000. Well, that's great. Then that reduces the 9,600. And I think we need to have a conversation about some kind of a split or a cap that the council feels that we can pay. I mean, we are having to look at every single dollar, and I just want to make sure that we're very prudent with it. So that's what I would recommend is we wait and see how much money we bring in and then have a discussion on cost sharing with the chamber. Thank you.
Okay. Julie?
I'd like to look at in the fall or when we come up with a comprehensive policy. I think that would be a good time for us to talk about cost sharing because, or specific requirements percentage wise or dollar wise or whatever as between us and the chamber, because that will help inform the chamber on what they need to do with their budgeting. But for now, it was my understanding that the chamber was prepared to assist with some of this payments. We didn't have a recording of that little private meeting you had, but was there any discussion about the chamber helping with this money? And we give them almost $600,000 a year. They can't cough. Did they offer to cough up anything or what happened at that meeting? You just said you said such generalities. None of us know what the heck was decided or said at that meeting. So can you fill us in on the financial part of that discussion?
So all it was talked about is that there's going to be some additional costs. There was no hey, who pays for what and how, that was, as I mentioned, that would really be up to council. It's not up to me. They were going to look at their budget to see if they could find a little bit more to see what they could do. And that's where we left it. And we
And we don't know when they were going to do that? When are they going to look?
So they
think-
didn't have the total.
Yeah,
That we
they didn't
had
have the
when
total
we
at
So
met.
they wanted to
time.
wait for the
Yeah.
total and then go back?
And to see what we get for the fundraiser. So I think let's see where we get, and we did not have the 9,600 at that time. So it was just a general conversation to
Mhm.
say, can we both look, can we see what we can do?
So
I
the
see.
big question is, do you have an opinion on that today? Would you like to wait until Tuesday after the fundraiser? Any thoughts on us moving forward?
I think the
with-
chamber should assist. I would suggest 50-50 split.
Okay. John? Okay, no opinion, Carrie?
I'd support the chamber contributing something, but I'm happy to have the city
Okay.
perform and support this event.
So it sounds like we're looking toward a 50-50 split. There's some unknowns and we'll obviously have to reach out to the chamber as well and we'll see how the fundraiser goes. I'll definitely take on anybody at the ponies this weekend and I'm pretty good, pretty good. And so with that, so we did approve the 25 officers and then we'll just work on the next steps. And so you've got a little guidance, not maybe quite enough, but we'll know more and we can do a quick, figure out the best way to do it on Tuesday.
And is there any support on council for us trying to reduce the number of people who come to this by about 2,000 by terminating the bus, telling the El Paso County, we don't want you busing people in? Is there any support for that?
I would not support it for this year. However, we're going to be having some really, I think, robust.
Do you want to wait
conversation.
until next year? Hope for
I
the-
personally would. I don't know. I can't speak on behalf of everyone.
Well, we didn't decide whether we were going to come back this fall with a work session regarding an event, citywide event,
I-
safety policy, did we?
Well,
We did,
Denise
okay.
announced that there was one coming, so,
Oh,
yeah.
all right.
But I do think you're right. We want to make sure that's clear, so I appreciate that. So, okay.
Merit to the idea, but I'm aligned to when the event safety program or framework comes back. I think that's the best time to discuss.
So no changes for this
So you
this
support the
upcoming-
busing, basically?
today.
Okay.
For,
I just.
Unless your postmortem, gives us,
Mhm.
feedback that we need to take action sooner, but yeah, that would be my
Yes.
caveat.
okay.
And
No.
the last thing I have,
Mhm.
the Colorado Rangers, their schedule fills up pretty quick. So I'm gonna need some kind of decision on whether or not I'll have to sign an MOU with them
I would say
to
go,
get them
do
locked
it.
in.
Sign that.
So we
MOU.
can do that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Don't come back to us about this for a little while. No offense.
None to-
Hire them tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you're not sure, last time, oh, can I just jump in? Last time you said something about, oh, I might not know until last minute how many El Paso County sheriffs can help us. But if we wait till last minute, then the Rangers will already be booked for that day. And if I got your gist correctly, then I would encourage you to get those Rangers signed up now.
I will
Because
call them.
better safe than sorry.
And I've been in contact with him a bunch of times since we've started this. And he stressed to me, the major that I talked to, that their schedule fills up quick and you need to let us know.
Let us know right away.
Right. So I'll call him tomorrow, tell him we need 15, give him the dates and I'll plan it with him.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we have receive and act on council correspondence. Do we have any council correspondence? Go ahead, Julie.
Well, I live right behind the Cliff House and I walk every day. And I've gotten a lot of feedback that people, as well as all the feedback that you all might have seen on Facebook, that people are not happy that the city does not have an ordinance on AstroTurf or artificial grass or whatever you call that plastic stuff. To me, it looks like a putt-putt green, that you'd see on the side of some, small highway or something. It's so disappointing that we have a historic, gorgeous building with that ugly, bright green, fake plastic stuff. So there may not be anything we can do about it now other than begging them to take it out, but I would really like us to have something on the books sooner rather than later on the agenda to talk about, at least in the historic district, whether we want to prohibit fake grass. I've heard some people say, oh, but there's water. You don't have to have grass. They used to have a beautiful xeriscape.
My guess
So-
is we'd all support that. Is anyone against?
I'd like that on the agenda.
Are we good?
I've been pressured to do that.
Absolutely. The Climate Action
Yeah.
Work Group, I was
I
going to
just think
mention.
you're,
that
I
to
think
you.
you,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
speaking to the choir, so I think we're good. Okay, so, okay,
That's my own.
okay, great. All right, anything else? Yeah, so I had two questions. So, so again, who is planning on attending the St. Andrew's Gala on Friday? So I think we just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to declare it a public meeting or something. So there will be three of us? Yeah. So there'll be three of us there. So just be aware we have to post that as a public meeting. And then, who is planning on going to the community budget meeting on Thursday? One. So there's two there, three, okay. And then Saturday, I'll be there. Okay, all right. Just as a point of just being aware of who's able to participate. And again, we'll kind of be sitting in the back. And we won't be directly participating, but I'm sure we'll get a lot of great information out of that.
Does that mean we're not allowed to participate? I refuse to obey that rule. I just want you to know.
Okay, I will see how that goes, but that was a request that was made by the person who is coordinating that event. All right, any other correspondence? Go ahead, Nate.
I don't want to steal thunder from the mayor's ride, but
Oh, yeah,
You-
Mayor's right. Thank
do-
you.
you give the shout out
Steal that
and I have
thunder.
one additional.
So meet at noon in front of City Hall. And then we're gonna, if you need a bike ride, you can pick it up at the Duck Stop, and you have to ask for it in advance. And we're just gonna loop around town. It'll be fun.
And then I'll look to Denise to expand on this, but just an enormous appreciation for the response to the fire that occurred the other day, and that fortunately everyone is safe and sound, and you can, I'm sure, add more detail to it, but I wanted to recognize that.
And there were a few, I think we've heard from a few residents about, how they received, texts and things like that. So we're learning and adjusting to make it the best situation possible. So, okay, great. Anything else? Okay, you're up.
Just a shout out to the fire and the police, because the police was also needed for the evacuations and stuff for the fire that occurred. So a shout out to both of them. And then want to just mention again, the budget meetings on Thursday and Saturday. I know all of you want the feedback, so please, if you're out there listening, please plan on attending one of those meetings if you could.
Great.
Your feedback is valuable.
Great. Oh, and just a quick other thing. I do intend on talking to Doug Edmondson about his outburst earlier today, because that was inappropriate. Doug Edmondson?
I didn't even look to see what.
I know, but I just want to make sure that that was not how we typically conduct ourselves. So, and with that, we don't need a motion. We're done, right? Meeting is adjourned. Let's go.
Second.
Do you want to just talk to me one-on-one?